It's true. It literally is 1984. Hello, greetings, good evening, good morning. Well, probably not morning for most people. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello, hugs. Hello, Sir Cute. Greetings, good evening. How we doing? Wow, it's been a hot minute since I did one of these streams. But finally, I am actually getting back on track, and we're reading again. It's fine. I'm not happy with the thumbnail though. I need to remake the thumbnail. Maybe I need to get some art that's like, or draw something that's actually like literally 1984. Put myself in a poster or something, I don't know. But yeah, I hope you're all having a good night. I hope you're all taking care. I hope you're all free from work, or will soon be free from work, or whatever. We are starting the new book. Let me know if I need to adjust the volume of anything. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so if I need to adjust the volume of my voice or of the background music, please do let me know. The background music shouldn't be distracting, but should just be present to feel the... Have you read this before? I haven't. This is my first time reading 1984. Apparently this is a book that some people use to... Like, this is like a book they have to read for school. But in England, this isn't one of the ones on the curriculum as far as I'm aware. So yeah, no, this is actually going to be my first time reading this book. I do not know what this is about, other than, like, the fact that I've been on the internet for 20 years, so... Gets a little close to reality for England. Yeah, I mean, my nan read it, and then she was like, oh, it's very interesting, it makes me think about how things are turning out today. I'm like, okay, Nano. I believe you. Is it on the I don't think so. It's definitely not on the curriculum of the exam boards that I did. The books I read in English class were Of Mice and Men, Lord of the Flies, I can't remember any of the others. Oh, The Woman in Black. Blood Brothers. That's more of a stage play than a book, though. When did she read it? I think it must have been last year or the year before. My nan borrows books from the library, and she reads pretty often. I had to read it, but only in a quote-unquote honours, quote-unquote English class. I see. Yeah, no, it's, I don't know if I would have had to read it if I'd taken, like, an A-level in English, maybe, but either way, I've wanted to read it for a while, just because I think it's one of those things that it's nice to know the context for, because this is a book that people reference a lot when it comes to, like, society and surveillance states and thought police and whatnot. So I think it is one of those books that I really should read just to have the knowledge. And obviously, I think me. I also, for me, I only really read during reading streams nowadays. They also like to say 1984 is not supposed to be an instruction manual. No, it should not. Please. Do you have a license for that thought? No. I have no licenses. Please take my thoughts away from me. I don't want them anymore. Please take them. So yeah, we'll be reading this until we reach the end. I will try not to take too many breaks. While I'm reading it, I will make a playlist so that people can catch up. However, this book, I'm gonna do the same as I did to the Travelling Cat Chronicles, where once I've finished reading it, I'm literally going to just turn it into one huge video with the chapters and everything, because I think that's a good format for books like this. But most books have you know, the copyright part of the book? Like all books have like a little license in the front about who they belong to and who published them and whatnot. The problem with a lot of books, like the Magic and Inkheart and stuff like that I read, is that it's like, this may not be reproduced in any way, either recording or in paper or written, like typed or anything like that. So technically not meant to stream it. So, but I think I can stream it, but just I'm not gonna take the chance and make a whole video about it. This book doesn't have that. This book, it has copyright, but it doesn't have the same kind of not allowed to reproduce thing. So I think I'm alright. Obviously the copyright does belong to Eric Blair, who I believe is the actual George Orwell's like real name. I'm not sure. His name isn't actually George Orwell. That's just his author name. Copy fraud is a thing too sometimes. Publishers came and cut. Yeah. So I don't wanna take any chances with the kind of books that I am making full videos of. Pen name, that's it. Pen name. So yeah. I will aim for reading about an hour, but I'm not quite sure how long the chapters are, so if I go over, then that happens. As usual, I will not be responding to chat while I read through until the end of the chapter, so I will catch up with everything that was said in chat then. If anyone needs to go get some sleep or get some rest or anything like that, please do feel free. I'm on YouTube, so we are not raiding anyone, so you will not get woken up by anything. If there are any sound issues at any time, please do please do feel free to tell me. I am going to look at chat even though I won't be replying to it. So if there are any issues, lag, delay, anything like that, please do let me know and I will sort it out. He's often linked to list a book whose copyright recently expired. Oh, I mean the copyright hasn't expired on this because it was written in 1949, I want to say. Wait, no, maybe is copyright 70 years or died in? Yeah, this was published the year before he died, I think. That's 70 years. Is copyright 70 years? It's a mess. That's true. The one thing for certain, it certainly is. Depends on the jurisdiction. Okay, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that I don't get in trouble for reading this. Be kind of ironic. I feel like it'd be kind of ironic if I got in trouble for reading 1984. Yeah, that'd be a little tongue-in-cheek. Getting censored for reading 1984. I'm reporting you right now. Oh god damn it. How could you do this to me? But yeah. We will, in accordance with copyright law 1984. 70 calendar years after. Oh, okay. So, at least somewhere it's out of copyright. So yeah. If you are going to go get some sleep, please do sleep well. If you are still busy working or studying or anything like that, I hope it goes well and with as little stress as possible. And for now, we will begin. New book. I'm disappointed to say it does not have new book smell, which is a real thing, but is not present here, which is sad. Chapter 1. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his breast in an escape to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansions, though not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with him. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of it, a coloured poster, too large for indoor display, had been tacked to the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a metre wide, the face of a man of about 45, with a heavy black moustache and ruggedly handsome features. Winston made for the stairs. It was no use trying the lift. Even at the best of times it was seldom working, and at present the electric current was cut off during daylight hours. It was part of the economy drive in preparation for Hate Week. The flat was 7 flights up, and Winston, who was 39 and had a varicose ulcer above his right ankle, went slowly, resting several times on the way. On each landing, opposite the lift shaft, the poster with the enormous face gazed from the wall. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eyes follow you about when you move. "Big Brother is watching you," the caption beneath it ran. Inside the flat, a fruity voice was reading out a list of figures which had something to do with the production of pig iron. The voice came from an oblong metal plaque, like a dulled mirror which formed part of the surface of the right-hand wall. Winston turned a switch, and the voice sank somewhat, though the words were still distinguishable. The instrument, the telescreen it was called, could be dimmed, but there was no way of shutting it off completely. He moved over to the window, a smallish, frail figure, the meagreness of his body merely emphasized by the blue overalls which were the uniform of the party. His hair was very fair, his face naturally sanguine, his skin roughened by coarse soap and blunt razor blades and the cold of the winter that had just ended. Outside, Even through the shut window pane, the world looked cold. Down in the street, little eddies of wind were whirling dust and torn paper into spirals, and though the sun was shining and the sky a harsh blue, there seemed to be no colour in anything, except the posters that were plastered everywhere. The big, black mustachioed face gazing down from every commanding corner. There was one on the house front immediately opposite. "Big Brother is watching you," the caption said, while the dark eyes looked deep into Winston's own. Down at street level, another poster, torn at one corner, flapped fitfully in the wind, alternately covering and uncovering the single word, "Ingsoc." In the far distance, a helicopter skimmed down between roofs, hovered for an instant like a blue bottle, and darted away again with a curving flight. It was the police patrol, snooping into people's windows. The patrols did not matter, however. Only the thought police mattered. Behind Winston's back, the voice from the telescreen was still blabbing away about pig iron and the over-fulfillment of the 9th three-year plan. The telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made, above the level of a very low whisper, would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. There was of course no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. How often, or on what system, the thought police plugged in on any individual wire was guesswork. It was conceivable that they watched everybody all the time. But at any rate, they could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to live, did live, from habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. Winston kept his back turned to the telescreen. It was safer, though, as he well knew, even a back can be revealing. A kilometre away, the Ministry of Truth, his place of work, towered vast and white above the grimy landscape. This, he thought, with a sort of vague distaste. This was London, chief city of Airstrip 1, itself the third most populous of the provinces of Oceania. He tried to squeeze out some childhood memory that should tell him whether London had always been like this. Were there always these vistas of rotting 19th century houses, their sides shored up with balks of timber, their windows patched with cardboard, and their roofs with corrugated iron, their crazy garden walls sagging in all directions? And the bombed sites where the plaster dust swirled in the air, and the willow herb straggled over the heaps of rubble, and the places where the bombs had cleared a larger patch, and there had sprung up sordid colonies of wooden dwelling-like chicken houses? But it was no use. He could not remember. Nothing remained of his childhood, except a series of brightly lit tableaux occurring against no background, and mostly unintelligible. The Ministry of Truth, Mini-True in Newspeak, was startlingly different from every other object in sight. It was an enormous, pyramidal structure of glittering white concrete, soaring up, terrace after terrace, 300 meters into the air. From where Winston stood, it was just possible to read, picked out on its white face in elegant lettering, the three slogans of the party. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. The Ministry of Truth contained, it was said, 3,000 rooms above ground level, and corresponding ramifications below. Scattered about London there were just 3 other buildings of similar appearance and size. So completely did they dwarf the surrounding architecture from the roof of Victory mansions you could see all 4 of them simultaneously. They were the homes of the 4 ministries, between which the entire apparatus of government was decided. The Ministry of Truth, which concerned itself with news, entertainment, education, and the fine arts. The Ministry of Peace, which concerned itself with war. The Ministry of Love, which maintained law and order, and the Ministry of Plenty, which was responsible for economic affairs. Their names, in Newspeak: Mini True, Mini Pax, Mini Love, and Mini Plenty. The Ministry of Love was the really frightening one. There were no windows in it at all. Winston had never been inside the Ministry of Love, nor within half a kilometre of it. It was a place impossible to enter except on official business, and then only by penetrating through a maze of barbed wire entanglements, steel doors, and hidden machine gun nests. Even the streets leading up to its outer barriers were roamed by gorilla-faced guards in black uniforms, armed with jointed truncheons. Winston turned round abruptly. He had set his features into the expression of quiet optimism which it was advisable to wear when facing the telescreen. He crossed the room into the tiny kitchen. By leaving the ministry at this time of day, he had sacrificed his lunch in the canteen, and he was aware that there was no food in the kitchen except a hunk of dark-coloured bread, which had got to be saved for tomorrow's breakfast. He took down from the shelf a bottle of colourless liquid with a plain white label marked Victory Gin. It gave off a sickly, oily smell, as of Chinese rice spirit. Winston poured out nearly a teacupful, nerved himself for the shock, and gulped it down like a dose of medicine. Instantly his face turned scarlet, and the water ran out of his eyes. The stuff was like nitric acid, and moreover, in swallowing it, one had the sensation of being hit on the back of the head with a rubber club. The next moment, however, the burning in his belly died down, and the world began to look more cheerful. He took a cigarette from a crumpled packet marked Victory Cigarettes, and incautiously held it upright, whereupon the tobacco fell out onto the floor. Where the next he was more successful. He went back to the living room, and sat down at a small table that stood to the left of the telescreen. From the table drawer he took out a pen holder, a bottle of ink, and a thick, quarto-sized blank book with a red back and a marbled cover. For some reason, the telescreen in the living room was in an unusual position. Instead of being placed, as was normal, in the end wall where it could command the whole room, it was in the longer wall, opposite the window. To one side of it there was a shallow alcove in which Winston was now sitting, and which, when the flats were built, had probably been intended to hold bookshelves. But by sitting in the alcove and keeping well back, Winston was able to remain outside the range of the telescreen, so far as sight went. He could be heard, of course, but so long as he stayed in his present position, he could not be seen. It was partly the unusual geography of the room that had suggested to him the thing that he was about to do. But it had also been suggested by the book that he had just taken out the drawer. It was a peculiarly beautiful book. Its smooth, creamy paper, a little yellowed by age, was of a kind that had not been manufactured for at least 40 years past. He could guess, however, that the book was much older than that. He had seen it lying in the window of a frowsy little junk shop in a slummy quarter of the town, just what quarter he did not now remember, and had been stricken immediately by the overwhelming desire to possess it. Party members were supposed not to go into ordinary shops, dealing on the free market it was called, but the rule was not strictly kept, because there were various things, such as shoelaces and razor blades, which it was impossible to get a hold of in any other way. He had given a quick glance up and down the street, and then had slipped inside and bought the book for $2.50. At the time, he was not conscious of wanting it for any particular purpose. He had carried it guiltily home in his briefcase. Even with nothing written in it, it was a compromising possession. The thing that he was about to do was to open a diary. This was not illegal. Nothing was illegal, since there were no longer any laws. But if detected, it was reasonably certain that it would be punished by death, or at least by 25 years in a forced labour camp. Winston fitted a nib into the pen holder and sucked it to get the grease off. The pen was an archaic instrument, seldom used even for signatures, and he had procured one, furtively and with some difficulty, simply because of a feeling that the beautiful creamy paper deserved to be written on with a real nib instead of being scratched with an ink pencil. Actually, he was not used to writing by hand. Apart from very short notes, it was usual to dictate everything into the speak-write, which was, of course, impossible for his present purpose. He dipped the pen into the ink, and then faltered for just a second. A tremor had gone through his bowels. To mark the paper was the decisive act. In small, clumsy letters he wrote, April 4th, 1984. He sat back. A sense of complete helplessness had descended upon him. To begin with, he did not know with any certainty that it was 1984. It must be round about that date, since he was fairly sure that his age was 39, and he believed that he had been born in 1944 or 1945, but it was never possible nowadays to pin down any date within a year or two. For whom, it suddenly occurred to him to wonder, was he writing this diary? For future? For the unborn? His mind hovered for a moment round the doubtful date of the page, and then fetched up with a bump against the newspeak words, doublethink. For the first time the magnitude of what he had undertaken came home to him. How could you communicate with the future? It was of its nature impossible. Either the future would resemble the present, in which case it would not listen to him, or it would be different from it, and his predicament would be meaningless. For some time he sat gazing stupidly at the paper. The telescreen had changed over to strident military music. It was curious that he seemed not merely to have lost the power of expressing himself, but even to have forgotten what it was that he originally intended to say. For weeks past he had been making ready for this moment, and it had never crossed his mind that anything would be needed except courage. The actual writing would be easy. All he had to do was to transfer to paper the interminable restless monologue that had been running through his head literally for years. At this moment, however, even the monologue had dried up. Moreover, his varicose ulcer had begun itching unbearably. He dared not to scratch it, because if he did so, it always became inflamed. The seconds were ticking by. He was conscious of nothing except the blankness of the page in front of him, the itching of the skin above his ankle, the blaring of the music, and a slight bluesiness caused by the gin. Suddenly he began writing in sheer panic, only imperfectly aware of what he was setting down. His small but childish handwriting straggled up and down the page, shedding first its capital letters, and finally even its full stops. April 4th, 1984. Last night to the flicks. All war films. One very good one of a ship full of refugees being bombed somewhere in the Mediterranean. Audience much amused by shots of a great huge fat man trying to swim away with a helicopter after him. First you saw him wallowing along in the water like a porpoise, and you saw him through the helicopter's gun sights. Then he was full of holes, and the sea round him turned pink, and he sank as suddenly as though holes had let in the water, our audience shouting with laughter when he sank. Then you saw a lifeboat full of children with a helicopter hovering over it. There was a middle-aged woman, might have been a Jewess, sitting up in the bow, with a little boy about 3 years old in her arms, little boy screaming with fright and hiding his head between her breasts, as if he were trying to burrow right into her, and the woman putting her arms round him and comforting him, although she was blue with fright herself, all the time covering him up as much as possible, as if she thought her arms could keep the bullets off him. Then the helicopter planted a 20-kilo bomb in among them, terrible flash, and the boat went all to matchwood. Then there was a wonderful shot of a child's arm going up, right up into the air, A helicopter with a camera in its nose must have followed it up, and there was a lot of applause from the party seats, but a woman down in the parole part of the house suddenly started kicking up a fuss and shouting they didn't ought to have showed it in front of kids. They didn't. It ain't right, not in front of kids, it ain't, until the police turned her out. I don't suppose anything happened to her. Nobody cares what the parole say. Typical pro reaction. They never... Winston stopped writing. Partly because he was suffering from cramp. He did not know what made him pour out this stream of rubbish. But the curious thing was that while he was doing so, a totally different memory had clarified itself in his mind, to the point where he felt almost equal to writing it down. It was, he now realized, because of this other incident that he had decided suddenly to come home and begin the diary today. It had happened this morning at the ministry, if anything so nebulous could be said to happen. It was nearly 1100, and in the records department, where Winston worked, they were dragging the chairs out of the cubicles and grouping them in the centre of the hall, opposite the big telescreen, in preparation for the 2 minutes hate. Winston was just taking his place in one of the middle rows when two people whom he knew by sight but had never spoken to came unexpectedly into the room. One of them was a girl whom he often passed in the corridors. He did not know her name, but he knew that she worked in the fiction department. Presumably, since he had sometimes seen her with oily hands and carrying a spanner, she had some mechanical job on one of the novel-writing machines. She was a bold-looking girl of about 27, with thick dark hair, a freckled face, and swift, athletic movements. A narrow scarlet sash, emblem of the Junior Anti-Sex League, was wound several times round the waist of her overalls, just tightly enough to bring out the shapeliness of her hips. Winston had disliked her from the first moment of seeing her. He knew the reason. It was because of the atmosphere of hockey fields and cold baths and community hikes and general clean-mindedness which she managed to carry about with her. He disliked nearly all women, and especially the young and pretty ones. It was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and noser-outs of unorthodoxy. But this particular girl gave him the impression of being more dangerous than most. Once, when they passed in the corridor, she had given him a quick sidelong glance, which seemed to pierce right through him, and for a moment had filled him with black terror. The idea had even crossed his mind that she might be an agent of the thought police. That, it was true, was very unlikely. Still, he continued to feel a peculiar uneasiness, of which fear mixed up in it as well as hostility, whenever she was anywhere near him. The other person was a man named O'Brien, a member of the inner party, and holder of some post so important and remote that Winston only had a dim idea of its nature. A momentary hush passed over the group of people round the chairs as they saw the black overalls of an inner party member approaching. O'Brien was a large, burly man, with a thick neck and a coarse, humorous, brutal face. In spite of his formidable appearance, he had a certain charm of manner. He had a trick of resettling his spectacles on his nose, which was curiously disarming, in some indefinable way, curiously civilized. It was a gesture which, if anyone had still thought in such terms, might have recalled an 18th century nobleman offering his snuff-box. Winston had seen O'Brien perhaps a dozen times in almost as many years. He felt deeply drawn to him, and not solely because he was intrigued by the contrast between O'Brien's urbane manner and his prize-fighter's physique. Much more it was because of a secretly held belief, or perhaps not even a belief, merely a hope, that O'Brien's political orthodoxy was not perfect. Something in his face suggested it irresistibly. And again, perhaps it was not even unorthodoxy that was written in his face, but simply intelligence. But at any rate, he had the appearance of a person that you could talk to, if somehow you could cheat the telescreen and get him alone. Winston had never made the smallest effort to verify this guess. Indeed, there was no way of doing so. At this moment, O'Brien glanced at his wristwatch, saw that it was nearly 1100, and evidently decided to stay in the records department until the 2 minutes hate was over. He took a chair in the same row as Winston, a couple of places away. A small, sandy-haired woman who worked in the next cubicle to Winston was between them. The girl with dark hair was sitting immediately behind. The next moment a hideous, grinding screech, as of some monstrous machine running without oil, burst from the big telescreen at the end of the room. It was a noise that set one's teeth on edge and bristled the hair at the back of one's neck. The hate had started. As usual, the face of Emmanuel Goldstein, the enemy of the people, had flashed onto the screen. There were hisses here and there among the audience. The little sandy-haired woman gave a squeak of mingled fear and disgust. Goldstein was the renegade and backslider who once, long ago, how long ago nobody quite remembered, had been one of the leading figures of the party, almost on a level with Big Brother himself, and then had engaged in counter-revolutionary activities, and had been condemned to death, and had mysteriously escaped and disappeared. The programs of the 2 minutes hate varied from day to day, but there was none in which Goldstein was not the principal figure. He was the primal traitor, the earliest defiler of the party's purity. All subsequent crimes against the party, all treacheries, acts of sabotage, heresies, deviations, sprang directly out of his teaching. Somewhere or other he was still alive, and hatching his conspiracies. Perhaps somewhere beyond the sea, under the protection of his foreign paymasters. Perhaps even, so it was occasionally rumoured, hiding in some hiding place in Oceania itself. Winston's diaphragm was constricted. He could never see the face of Goldstein without a painful mixture of emotions. It was a lean Jewish face, with a great fuzzy aureole of white hair and a small goatee band. A clever face, and yet somehow inherently despicable, with a kind of senile silliness in the long, thin nose, near the end of which a pair of spectacles were perched. It resembled the face of a sheep, and the voice, too, had a sheep-like quality. Goldstein was delivering his usual venomous attack upon the doctrines of the party, an attack so exaggerated and perverse that a child should have been able to see through it, and yet just plausible enough to fill one with an alarmed feeling that other people, less level-headed than oneself, might be taken in by it. He was abusing Big Brother. He was denouncing the dictatorship of the party. He was demanding the immediate conclusion of peace with Eurasia. He was advocating freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought. He was crying hysterically that the revolution had been betrayed, and that all this in rapid polysyllabic speech, which was some sort of parody of the habitual style of the orators of the party, and even contained newspeak words, more newspeak words indeed than any party member would usually use in real life. And all the while, lest one should be any doubt as to the reality which Goldstein's specious claptrap covered, behind his head on the telescreen, there marched the endless columns of the Eurasian army, row after row of sodden-looking men with expressionless Asiatic faces, who swam up to the surface of the screen and vanished, to be replaced by others exactly similar. The dull, rhythmic tramp of the soldiers' boots formed the background to Goldstein's bleating voice. Before the hate had proceeded for 30 seconds, uncontrollable exclamations of rage were breaking out from half the people in the room. The self-satisfied sheep-like face on the screen and the terrifying power of the Eurasian army behind it were too much to be borne. Besides, the sight and even the thought of Goldstein produced fear and anger automatically. He was the object of hatred more constant than either Eurasia or East Asia, since when Oceania was at war with one of these powers, it was generally at peace with the other. But what was strange was that although Goldstein was hated and despised by everybody, although every day, 1,000 times a day, on platforms, on the telescreen, in newspapers, in books. His theories were refuted, smashed, ridiculed, held up to the general gaze for the pitiful rubbish that they were. In spite of all this, his influence never seemed to grow less. Always there were fresh dupes waiting to be seduced by him. A day never passed when spies and saboteurs acting under his directions were not unmasked by the thought police. He was the commander of a vast, shadowy army, an underground network of conspirators dedicated to the overthrow of the state. The Brotherhood, its name was supposed to be. There were also whispered stories of a terrible book, a compendium of all the heresies of which Goldstein was the author, and which circulated clandestine here and there. It was a book without a title. People referred to it, if at all, simply as the book. But one knew of such things only through vague rumours. Neither the Brotherhood nor the book was a subject that any ordinary party member would mention, if there was a way of avoiding it. In its second minute the hate rose to a frenzy. People were leaping up and down in their places, and shouting at the tops of their voices in an effort to drown the maddening, bleating voice that came from the screen. The little sandy-haired woman had turned bright pink. Her mouth was opening and shutting like that of a landed fish. Even O'Brien's heavy face was flushed. He was sitting very straight in his chair, his powerful chest swelling and quivering as though he was standing up to the assault of a wave. The dark-haired girl behind Winston had begun crying out, "Swine! Swine! Swine!" and suddenly she picked up a heavy Newspeak dictionary and flung it at the screen. It shrunk Goldstein's nose and bounced off. The voice continued inexorably. In a lucid moment Winston found that he was shouting with the others and kicking his heel violently against the rung of his chair. The horrible thing about the 2 minutes hate was not that one was obliged to act a part, but it was impossible to avoid joining in. Within 30 seconds, any pretense was always unnecessary. A hideous ecstasy of fear and vindictiveness, a desire to kill, to torture, to smash faces in with a sledgehammer, seemed to flow through the whole group of people like an electric current, turning one even against one's will into a grimacing, screaming lunatic. And yet the rage that one felt was an abstract, undirected emotion, which could be switched from one object to another like the flame of a blow lamp. Thus, at one moment Winston's hatred was not turned against Goldstein at all, but on the contrary, against Big Brother, the party, and the thought police, and at such moments his heart went out to the lonely, derided heretic on the screen, sole guardian of the truth and sanity in a world of lies. And yet the next instant he was at one with the people about him, and all that was said of Goldstein seemed to him to be true. At those moments his secret loathing of Big Brother changed into adoration. I have a cat on me. I don't know if she's getting picked up by the mic. I'm gonna pause until she's not on my desk. Hi? Hello? Okay, she is leaving. Okay, sorry. Okay, I miss her. Okay, I'm gonna carry on where I was so I can just cut this piece out of the VOD when I come to like upload it. And yet the very instant he was at one with the people around him. What the fuck? Why is everything? Sorry, I had a mosquito land on me. Take 2. 3. And yet the very next instant he was at one with the people about him, and all that was said of Goldstein seemed to him to be true. At those moments his secret loathing of Big Brother changed into adoration, and Big Brother seemed to tower up, an invincible, fearless protector, standing like a rock against the hordes of Asia and Goldstein, in spite of his isolation, his helplessness, and the doubt that hung about his very existence, seemed like some sinister enchanter, capable by the mere power of his voice of wrecking the structure of civilization. It was even possible, at moments, to switch one's hatred this way or that by a voluntary act. Suddenly, by the sort of violent effort in which one wrenches one's head away from the pillow in a nightmare, Winston succeeded in transferring his hatred from the face on the screen to the dark-haired girl behind him. Vivid, beautiful hallucinations flashed through his mind. He would flog her to death with a rubber truncheon. He would tie her naked to the stake and shoot her full of arrows like Saint Sebastian. He would ravish her and cut her throat at the moment of climax. Better than before, moreover, he realized why it was that he hated her. He hated her because she was young and pretty and sexless, because he wanted to go to bed with her and would never do so, because round her sweet supple waist, which seemed to ask you to encircle it with your arm, there was only the odious scarlet sash, aggressive symbol of chastity. The hate rose to its climax. The voice of Goldstein had become an actual sheep's bleat, and for an instant the face changed into that of a sheep. Then the sheep face melted into the figure of a Eurasian soldier who seemed to be advancing, huge and terrible, his submachine gun roaring and seeming to spring out of the surface of the screen, so that some of the people in the front row actually flinched backwards in their seats. But in the same moment, drawing a deep sigh of relief from everybody, the hostile figure melted into the face of Big Brother, black-haired, black-mustachioed, full of power and mysterious calm, and so vast that it nearly filled up all the screen. Nobody heard what Big Brother was saying. It was merely a few words of encouragement, the sort of words that are uttered in the din of battle, not distinguishable individually, but restoring confidence by the fact of being spoken. Then the face of Big Brother faded away again, and instead of the three slogans of the party stood out in bold capitals. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. But the face of Big Brother seemed to persist for several seconds on the screen, as though the impact that it had made on everybody's eyeballs was too vivid to wear off immediately. The little sandy-haired woman had flung herself forward over the back of the chair in front of her. With a tremulous murmur that sounded like, "My saviour," she extended her arms toward the screen. Then she buried her face in her hands. It was apparent that she was uttering a prayer. At this moment the entire group of people broke into a deep, slow, rhythmical chant of B, 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 over and over again, very slowly, with a long pause between the first B and the second, a heavy, murmurous sound, somehow curiously savage, in the background of which one seemed to hear the stamp of naked feet and the throbbing of tom-toms. For perhaps as much as 30 seconds they kept it up. It was a refrain that was often heard in moments of overwhelming emotion. Partly it was a sort of hymn to the wisdom and majesty of Big Brother, but still more it was an act of self-hypnosis, a deliberate drowning of consciousness by means of rhythmic noise. Winston's entrails seemed to grow cold. In the 2 minutes' hate, he could not help sharing in the general delirium, but this subhuman chanting of B, 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 B always filled him with horror. Of course he chanted with the rest. It was impossible to do otherwise. To dissemble your feelings, to control your face, to do what everyone else was doing, was an instinctive reaction. But there was a space of a couple of seconds during which the expression in his eyes might conceivably have betrayed him, and it was exactly at this moment that the significant thing happened, if indeed it did happen. Momentarily he caught O'Brien's eye. O'Brien had stood up. He had taken off his spectacles and was in the act of resettling them on his nose with his characteristic gesture. But there was a fraction of a second when their eyes met, and for as long as it took to happen, Winston knew, yes, he knew, that O'Brien was thinking the same thing as himself. An unmistakable message had passed. It was as though their two minds had opened, and the thoughts were flowing from one another through their eyes. "I am with you," O'Brien seemed to be saying to him. "I know precisely what you are feeling. I know all about your contempt, your hatred, your disgust. But don't worry, I am on your side." And then the flash of intelligence was gone, and O'Brien's face was inscrutable as everyone else's. That was all, and he was already uncertain whether it had happened. Such incidents never had any sequel. All that they did was keep him alive in him the belief, or hope, that others besides himself were enemies of the party. Perhaps the rumours of vast underground conspiracies were true after all. Perhaps the Brotherhood really existed. It was impossible, in spite of the endless arrests and confessions and executions, to be sure that the Brotherhood was not simply a myth. Some days he believed it, some days not. There was no evidence, only fleeting glimpses that might mean anything or nothing, snatches of overheard conversation, faint scribbles on lavatory walls. Once, even, when two strangers met, a small movement of the hands which looked as though it might be a signal of recognition. It was all guesswork. Very likely he had imagined everything. He had gone back to his cubicle without looking at O'Brien again. The idea of following up their momentary contact hardly crossed his mind. It would have been inconceivably dangerous, even if he hadn't known how to set about doing it. For a second, 2 seconds, they had exchanged an equivocal glance, and that was the end of the story. But even that was a memorable event in the locked loneliness in which one had to live. Winston roused himself and sat up straighter. He let out a belch. The gin was rising from his stomach. His eyes refocused on the page. He discovered that while he sat helplessly, musing, he had also been writing, as though by automatic action, and it was no longer the same cramped, awkward handwriting as before. His pen had slipped voluptuously across the small paper, printing in large, neat capitals, "Down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, down big with brother." Over and over again, filling half a page. He could not help feeling a twinge of panic. It was absurd, since the writing of those particular words was not more dangerous than the initial act of opening the diary. But for a moment he was tempted to tear out the spoiled pages and abandon the enterprise altogether. He did not do so, however, because he knew that it was useless. Whether he wrote "Down with Big Brother," or whether he refrained from writing it made no difference. Whether he went on with the diary, or whether he did not go on with it, made no difference. The thought police would get him just the same. He had committed, would still have committed, even if he had never set pen to paper, the essential crime that contained all others in itself. Thought crime, they called it. Thought crime was not a thing that could be concealed forever. You might dodge successfully for a while, even for years, but sooner or later they were bound to get you. It was always at night. The arrests invariably happened at night. The sudden jerk out of sleep, the rough hand shaking your shoulder, the lights glaring in your eyes, the ring of hard faces round the bed. In the vast majority of cases there was no trial, no report of the arrest. People simply disappeared, always during the night. Your name was removed from the registers. Every record of everything you had ever done was wiped out. Your one-time existence was denied and then forgotten. You were abolished, annihilated. Vaporized was the usual word. For a moment he was seized by a kind of hysteria. He began writing in an unhurried, untidy scrawl. They'll shoot me. I don't care. They'll shoot me in the back of the neck. I don't care. Down with Big Brother. They always shoot you in the back of the neck. I don't care. Down with Big Brother. He sat back in his chair, slightly ashamed of himself, and laid down the pen. The next moment he started violently. There was a knocking at the door. Already! He sat as still as a mouse, in the futile hope that whoever it was might go away after a single attempt. But no, the knocking was repeated. The worst thing of all would be to delay. His heart was thumping like a drum, but his face, from long habit, was probably expressionless. He got up and moved heavily towards the door. Yeah, so saying down with Big Brother like 5 times quickly, I completely flubbed the last line. These are all things I can fix in post though, and just hope that the music is quiet enough that it isn't like a jarring background change. Wow, my eyes. But yeah, no, I wanted to pause while Daisy was up on my lap because I wasn't sure if any sounds we picked up or if she would decide to meow. And obviously, she's welcome to do so. If she wants to meow into my ASMR mic, that is 100% welcome, but I need a clear cut of the reading for the final take. But yeah, oh my god, that 2 minutes of hate thing, that's freaking wild. Actually, and everything in that so far was pretty wild. The way that the narrator is even, like, affected by the propaganda is... Good god. That's some, pretty impactful writing. But yeah, you can definitely tell this was written... post World War II. Yeah, very intense. 2 minutes of hate is what. Honestly, I feel like obviously don't put some like dude's face on your TV. I don't know, maybe like if you're the kind of person that can do things out of spite, just put like every mean thing that's ever been said about you and like, I don't know, your childhood bullies on a screen and stare at it for 2 minutes being like, God damn it, fuck you, no, anything, I'm better than all the things that it's like daily affirmations but like with more spite. But yeah, no, very intense. And definitely a really... 2 minutes of hate is a good thing, actually. No, not towards some random... Well, he's not random. Not towards... Not for propaganda reasons. But, it's just like words of affirmation, but for spite. Those people that... We don't know that! Just because the book told us that we should hate him... That the narrator is biased. The Winston is biased. They're all biased, and that is something that needs to be taken into consideration as the book is read. The narrator is not some omnipotent figurehead that gives us an unbiased view. I think I can already figure out like why this book is chosen for English classes, because I think even though that was literally the first chapter, there's already like a lot of very interesting analysis you can make. It makes me almost miss English class, but I actually didn't do that great in well, I got a B. I got a B in English literature, but it makes me watch. I want to analyze it. Part of me like wants to also like get a highlighter and like highlight particularly like impactful sentences. I also hope that I got like English class always. That's true. That's true. We had a really bad English teacher for my exam year. But yeah, no, the writing kind of it almost like absorbs you. Like the part where he writes in the diary, and literally you can tell it's getting more frantic, and like it like reading it out loud, it's almost hard to not get like swept up by that kind of emotion and franticness. It's really fascinating, actually. It's really fascinating. This is actually, I've never read any of the books by George Orwell. I know he also wrote Animal Farm, which is like a very, what's the word? Poignant? A very important, like, piece of literature. But yeah, that was chapter 1. So that lasted about an hour. So hopefully all the other chapters are about the same. They'll each last about an hour, so it'll be 1 chapter per stream. Although that means it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. That's fine. Do I have anything to use as a bookmark? I don't know if I have anything to use as a bookmark. Oh wait, I have an instruction manual for... Yeah, for attaching the hands on my body chan. Use cat. Hey Daisy. I just looked at her and she yawned. Really? Oh, I gestured at her and she sat up. She's not impressed. She likes to sit at the top of my steps, stopping me from going down them. Just loafs across the top. 20? Really? Only 23? So we read... What page does it start? It starts page 3. And then... So we read... 21 pages. But there are... Wait, if I... That's the afterword. Is this it? Oh, this is the appendix. Is the no, appendix is like an afterword, isn't it? But by the author, right? Yeah, okay. So the end is page 336. So 333 pages. Huh. Interesting. So the book I actually bought, it's I bought the same style as the book of British classic books I own, the short stories. But the picture on the cover of the book, of 1984, apparently it is a self-portrait of Francis Bacon. Isn't Francis Bacon like a famous poet or something? Why is he on the front of the book? Or at least he has a quote that's attributed to him very often. He was an English philosopher and statesman. Okay, yeah, I'm sure if I read through his page is very extensive. His page is very... It's a lot. But yeah, he did philosophy stuff and science stuff. And law. So maybe... Francis Bacon developed the idea that a classification of knowledge must be universal while handling all possible resources. Humanity would be better if access to educational resources were provided to the public, hence the need to organise it. So okay, maybe he is relevant. Maybe his ideals are relevant to the book 1984. Anyway, but yeah, so far, good book. I am interested to see how this goes, and I hope that all my sound and everything is all good. I do also wonder, another thing I kind of want to kind of analyze. His name is Winston Smith. So obviously this was written just after World War II, and in the book he was born in 1994 or 1995, just after Winston Churchill is basically like partially credit for winning us the war in Britain. You know, he was kind of a big deal, Winston Churchill. So I wonder if the decision to call him Winston was an in-universe decision to have him named after Winston Churchill, or whether it was an author decision and there's going to be some kind of connection between the real life figure of Winston Churchill and Winston Smith. Is this the story of the very hungry cat? No, I'm afraid not. I don't think this book is as cheerful as the very hungry cat. Why do I keep on saying hungry? Hungry. The World War II. So I'm not sure. So from my impression of this book, this was written in 1949. So what I think it is that this is an alternate reality that starts in 1949. So everything leading up to 1949 is the exact same as it happened in reality. But everything that happened since 1949 is what's different and led up to this book. So I think World War II still occurred the same. And so those kind of things are probably something that's going to be really important to keep in mind while reading this, especially when it comes to mentioning, yeah, the the character itself, yeah, he doesn't actually 100% know what year it is. The party controls history. That's true. So what he knows about World War II might not be true. Would they have changed his name? Because if he was named, well, we need to know when the party came into power. When did the party establish themselves? That is my question. I hope. I guess some of these things may be answered as we go through the book, but it's definitely an interesting one to think about. It's definitely things to consider. But I'm assuming from a factual standpoint, not of what the characters think is the truth. I think the events leading up to 1949 are what happened in our reality. It could be yeah. One thing I actually notice a lot of people have a problem with books nowadays, and it worries me slightly, is people always thinking that the narrator is, like, truthful. The narrator is a character, and the narrator can lie. It's literally a trope called unreliable narrator. Could be going off Operation Unthinkable. Wait. Oh. True. That being said, there hasn't been any mention of the Soviets. It just mentioned Eurasia and East Asia. I'm also kind of curious how Britain ended up being part of Oceania, which I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing correctly.
Oceania.
Oceania. There's an extra syllable in there. Okay. Because Oceania is actually like on the opposite side of the planet from the UK. Oceania is like Australia, New Zealand, Strip 1 is part of Oceania. But they mentioned London. Wait, so did they make is it a new London? Is it a London 2? Keep reading. Okay, yeah, these are all things. These are all things that might end up being mentioned. New Zealand mentioned. How does it feel to be in the future? Is it good? Is it good there? Is it nice there? Eurasia is Eurasia, and the Americas are in the ocean. So we're not actually. British Isles are the same, but renamed to Airstrip 1. Oceania is a geographical location in the real world, but in the book it's... Oh, okay. My take is that it's deliberately confusing. You know what? I think you might be right there. I think you might be onto something. But yeah, all of Polynesia is all Oceania. I mean, apparently New Zealand is supposed to be its own continent, right? There's a whole like sunken landmass east of New Zealand that's supposedly its own continent. But yeah, question mark. Not relevant. But yeah, I will make a playlist with this VOD in so that it can be viewed easily. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, once I've finished reading 1984, I will be going through and cutting out all the like talk and misspeaks and scuff, and then uploading it as one big video like I did the Travelling Cat Chronicles. Are you enjoying yourself, Daisy? You don't normally come up here. Do you just like everyone else is asleep? I'm just gonna hang out in the same room as you? And that's fine. You can do that. Yeah, I'm talking to you. What are you doing? Praising the parts of history that don't fit. No, it's just when I can't talk. Hey? You want a couple? Do you want to meow into the mic? You want? Oh, okay. Hello. Look, if you meow there, everyone will be like, hell yeah. Yeah? Try meowing. Go on, do it. Okay, I'm now trapped to have a cat in my lap. I can never move again. Yeah. The thing is, she's actually very quiet. So her purrs definitely won't get picked up by my mic. Let me just turn off. I don't know if her sounds can get picked up at all. Hey, you're a quiet one, aren't you? Even when you try and meow, you're not very loud, are you? Yeah, I don't know if she's coming through at all. Look. No, okay, we're gonna climb up me. Okay, that's fine. Hi. Oh, You heard the purr? It got through? Yeah! Oh god. Oh boy, she's making a break for the keyboard. Yeah, I don't know how much I can get through, but there you go. Free cat sounds. Eh? Should we hire you to do all my ASMR for me? Yeah? Real cat ASMR? Oh. Oh, okay, hello, yes. Please don't lick my face, you're not a dog. Ow, ow, okay. Please try not to. Okay, what are we doing? Where are you going? How, why, who, why, what? Oh god, ow. Yes, you're not climbing because you're putting your paws specifically on the part of my body that is not stable. That is why you're not succeeding at okay. Oh, she's like a little baby who draws. So just like a real baby. Mm. Oh, you're trying to claw me, but we trimmed your claws so it doesn't. Okay, that wasn't an invitation to test how much you can put your trimmed claws into me. You still have claws. She's purring louder. Can you hear it? I think. Oh, hello, yes. This is my face. Yeah, I'm glad I got the mic to pick it up. Oh, ow, ow, no, you still have claws. You still have bit of claws. Ow. Okay, well, I'm trapped like this. Oh, it's standing. Okay. Yes. Oh, another cat joins the fray. Hello, greetings. Sorry, I'm currently being scientifically accurate. I guess. Hello. Sorry, I'm currently being assaulted by my own cat. Oh god. Please don't lick my face. You're not a dog. But yeah, numbers, how was Black Mesa? I'm personally more of an aperture cat myself. Pat that cat, don't worry, I am. She just can't get comfortable, so she keeps on moving. And she just nudged the mic. You wanna settle down? Why are you just standing on my arm? But yeah, welcome in. I hope you had a good stream. I did some science, also got beat up at Throne. Yeah, you know what? That sounds like a standard day at Black Mesa. Shoulda gone to Aperture Science instead. Okay, you gonna settle down now a little bit so I can actually like finish my oh no, you're going to need my collarbone. Okay. Don't worry, I didn't need my skin anyway. Yeah, didn't need it. But yeah, no, literally 1984. We just finished reading the first chapter. Now I've been distracted by a cat, so that's it. Oh god. Why do you keep on trying to climb up? Where are you going? What are you doing? Literally 1984 with literally a cat. Yeah, real. This cat, thought police. Hey? Yep, thank you for putting your face in my face. I very appreciated. I've never had a cat that wanted to climb on me so bad. She must she's on my lap! She is on my lap and literally like kneading my shoulder right now. She is up. If she was up anymore, I would have to hold her in the air. No, she's fine where she is. At least with her being here, I know that she's not waking up my mum. I know that my mum's been having a little bit of trouble getting to sleep because Daisy has a little bit of a habit of kneading people's faces while they try and sleep. And as cute as that is, as adorable as that is, it's not very good for actually sleeping. Oh, you're making yourself proper comfy now, alright. That's fine. Sorry, we're basically just in one ear now because she rotated my mic. So I'm just in the one ear now. What are you doing? Where are you going? Are you not comfy? Oh god, okay. Ah, yes, hello. Please don't put your nose in my mouth. It doesn't belong there. And you're drooling on me. It's gross. Gross, I tell you. Okay, there we go. Basically, you're feeling frenzies. Yeah, basically. This is fine. I like cats, so I have no actual problem with this. Oh god, you're purring like a motor engine now. Hey. There we go. Yeah, I can't end stream until she goes, but so I guess we're just here chatting until she gets bored of me. So a 24-hour stream, let's go. No. Okay. Stop trying to lick my face. Please. Okay. For those of you who don't know, by the way, so I had a cat. We had a cat called Misty. She unfortunately passed away earlier this year, and we are now we now foster cats. So any cat who don't fall over, any cat who you know, the shelter doesn't have room for or is having trouble settling in at another foster home, we will take care of. So Daisy here, she actually was in a foster home, but they had 2 other cats and they just didn't get along very well. So we are now looking after Daisy. And she's very friendly with humans, but just maybe just didn't get along with the cats in that household. Please, my face. Stop it. So yeah, she'll be here until she gets her forever home. I think we're probably only gonna adopt 1 cat at a time. We're never gonna be with those people who have like 50. So yeah, that's the story. Daisy's she's very cute. She is a white cat with like a little bit of tabby on her face, and her tail is completely tabby. Daisy's purring very loudly, yeah. Mm-hmm. She's very cute. Nay, I appreciate this cat, yeah. The real ASMR, it's not the reading, it is the cat experience. But yeah, she'll be around, and I'm sure she doesn't meow very loudly, so I doubt that you'll hear her in my normal streams. Hey? You moving again? Where are we going? No, you just okay. Just settling down in a really uncomfortable looking position. Are you good? This doesn't look comfy. Are you comfy? I mean, I'm comfy, I don't care, but like, are you comfy? Do you want to use like my arms for support or something? Like what do you want? I can try and hold your back paws. This is wild, by the way. Like Misty never like, sat on my lap. And you couldn't touch Misty's paws. Like, if you tried to touch Misty's paws, she would, like, straight up, like, murder. But Daisy's like, you want to pick me up? Cool. I want to sit on your lap? Cool. You want to touch my paws? Yeah, alright. Comfy cat checks that the cat is comfy. Well, you know, given by the fact that she's still here on my lap, I'm gonna say that I passed the comfy checks. Right? Oh god, please don't lick my face. Please. Oh, we're going on my shoulder? You wanna be that high up? I can put my arm here so you can kinda sit down. No? No, you don't want to? Okay. Okay, you're just gonna make bread out of my arm. That's fine. You can do that. This is what you've been training for, literally, the completion of the Cozy Cat arc. It's true. This is my proof that I truly am the Cozy Cat. The cats find me cozy. Done. I'm so glad that we trimmed her claws. So just to clarify, because I did before, declawing is illegal in the UK, and we have no intention to do that because it's cruel. But we did have her claws just trimmed, so they're not literal pins. Little murder mittens. There you go. Left a little mark in my shoulder and my arm in one day. Very impressive. So she can no longer literally claw me to death. And we don't let cats outside, so she's not going to have to face any predators or other cats. Mum is thinking about getting her a harness so that we can take her for walks, so she can burn off some of this energy. Oh, she's so cute. Rounding off the pins, yeah. She still has the pins. They are just a little bit shorter and a little bit more squared off. I've always wanted to try taking a cat for a walk. Yeah. I think you have to start pretty young though for them to be okay with it. Are you young enough? No? We will find out. Daisy we don't know exactly how old she is because she was found on the street, you know, like every single cat that ends up in our house. But we think she's somewhere between the ages of 1 and 2, leaning towards 1. She is also quite small, so it's hard to tell because we think she wasn't like fed regularly while she was on the street. So, but she's all healthy and probably growing now. Don't know her exact age. No, you normally don't for abandoned cats. Why do you always wear fig denim? No reason. Protection against claws. 1984 is like JoJo's, where everything feels like a reference. Yes, this is Daisy from hit George Orwell novel 1984. So much cozy energy, I guess. Yeah, feel free to fall asleep to the sound of me talking and my cat purring. Just keep purring for the audience. Your loving audience. I wish I could set up a cat cam. Like, some people have cat cams set up, but Daisy doesn't have like any one particular place that she prefers to be, so. Oh, you're bloody warm though, and it is summer. I don't know if I want you lying on me too much when it's this warm. Either way, she seems to have found her comfortable position, which is nicely preoccupying both arms. I wonder how many cat channels. Probably a lot. You okay? You coughing? You want to go? No? Okay. Oh. Okay, we're readjusting. I see. Where are we readjusting to? Oh, okay. I'm being forcibly posture checked. Hello? Yes. What a charming cat. Oh, yep, we're gonna need a little bit, okay? No? No, you're not happy with that position? Okay. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna, once I have my custody of my hand back. Oh, are you gonna walk on my keyboard? No? Okay, good. Please don't. There we go. Right, so I have custody of my hand back. So we're gonna finish stream off for the night. And thank you, Numbers, for the raid. I do hope you had a fun time playing Black Mesa and doing science, getting shoved in the garbage, as you do. Looking forward to the 2-hour-long cat compilation alongside. Hey, make a nice little ASMR video with just you. Just star of the channel. Okay, she can't decide what she's doing. That's fine. So, yes, I will be doing my best to do these streams every Thursday night, like I, meant to, but just accidentally took an extended break from. Obviously, the weather does, and my condition sleeping does vary, so do excuse me if sometimes it's a little inconsistent. But yeah, the next stream is going to be on Saturday, I think, because I'm moving my Sunday streams to Saturday. So yeah, there we go. Oh, sorry, that was me punching my mic by accident because I'm trying to hold this cat safely. But yeah, next stream on Saturday. But yeah, I hope people enjoyed. I hope people are looking forward to my rendition of 1984. Where I say things incorrectly and then see if I can get away with that and pretend that I didn't actually get them wrong. Eh? Because I can't speak. Neither can you though, Daisy. It's a great time when you do stream. Thank you. I appreciate your popping in. Oh, you're spoiled. Okay, I'm not gonna baby talk the cat on stream. Most cats can't speak, so you do a pretty good job. Yeah. Can you speak, Daisy? Do you wanna meow? No? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to speak. It's my stream. Can't have it's not a collab anyway. Collab with my cat Daisy. I always look forward to these streams. I'm glad. I hope I'm gonna do them more consistently again. Right. But yeah, we'll finish off. Get some sleep. Get something to eat, get some drink, pet your cats, pet your dogs. Daisy collab one. I mean, technically right now. But yeah. Have a very good night. I can't remember the things I usually say. Onyasumi. Say goodbye, Daisy. No? You're not even gonna purr particularly loud to say goodnight? You're just gonna kind of squint at me? That's fine. Like, to avoid most of it. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy the reading. But yeah, thank you for coming. Good night. Onyasumi.